Everywhere you look, someone is telling you the secret to staying healthy after 60 is hiding in a bottle. Heart-healthy spreads, light vegetable oils with smiling labels, cholesterol-free margarines, all insist they are the safer choice. Maybe you switched to them years ago, believing you were protecting your heart. Yet while those bottles lined up by your stove, your knees began to ache more, your fingers stiffened in the morning, and getting up from a chair started to feel harder. What if the oils you trusted as healthy are feeding the inflammation that steals your comfort? In the next few minutes, we will turn those bottles around, see what is inside, and rebuild your kitchen so every drop of oil helps calm your joints instead of hurting them. To understand why cooking oil matters so much after 60, you have to understand the quiet fire your body lives with every day. Inflammation is not just a word doctors throw around. It is your immune system at work. In small bursts, it is useful. It cleans up injury, fights infection, and helps you heal. The trouble starts when that helpful response never fully turns off. Instead of a quick flame, it becomes a slow, smoky fire smoldering in your joints, blood vessels, and even your brain. You may not see it, but you feel its fingerprints. Aching knees that never quite settle. Puffy fingers. A heavy tiredness in your legs when you walk across the room. That is chronic inflammation talking. The fats you eat act like fuel for this fire. Some fats help your body put the flames out. Others pour on gasoline. For decades, big food companies told us that any oil made from vegetables must be the good kind. The labels say light, cholesterol-free, good for your heart. What they do not say is that many of these oils are sharply tilted toward omega-6 fats and almost empty of omega-3. Your body needs both, but it needs them in balance, like a seesaw that moves smoothly when the weight is even on both sides. When omega-6 fats wildly outnumber omega-3, your body starts to make more chemical messengers that shout, inflame, inflame, inflame. In a young, very active body, that overload may be corrected by plenty of movement and strong repair systems. In a body over 60, with older joints, older blood vessels, and maybe a history of arthritis, diabetes, or heart disease, the same overload is far more damaging. The wrong oil at the bottom of your pan becomes part of the daily signal that tells your immune system to stay on high alert against your own tissues. You can picture it this way. Every time you cook with a highly unbalanced oil, it is like sending a small postcard to your immune system that says, stay angry. One postcard is not a disaster, but month after month, year after year, the stack grows. Soon your knees, hips, and hands are living in a neighborhood where the mail is always bad news. Changing your oils is like changing the message on those cards. You are still sending fat into your bloodstream, but now it arrives with calmer instructions, asking your immune cells to protect rather than attack. You may have already felt this even if no one has named it. On days when you eat more fried foods or processed snacks, you sleep poorly and wake up stiff and swollen. On days with simpler meals and more vegetables, you feel a little lighter. That difference is not your imagination. It is your internal fire rising and falling. Oils are a quiet part of that pattern because they show up in almost every cooked meal. Changing them is one of the quickest ways to change the messages your body receives all day. The first oil we need to talk about is soybean oil because it hides behind so many different names. On the label, it might say vegetable oil, frying oil, salad oil, or a blended oil for baking. In cafeterias and many restaurants, this is the default choice because it is cheap, neutral in taste, and easy to use in giant bottles. But what it does inside an older body is not neutral at all. Soybean oil is heavily loaded with omega-6 fats and carries only a small trace of omega-3. That means every spoonful nudges your internal chemistry further toward the inflame side of the seesaw. Over weeks and months, that nudge adds up. Studies measuring inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and certain interleukins find that people who eat a lot of soybean oil tend to have higher levels of these warning signals. You do not need to remember the names. You see their effects in simpler ways. The stairs feel harder. Your morning stiffness lasts longer. Swelling around old injuries flares more easily after a long day. If you are over 60, there is another twist. By this time, many people already live with a condition doctors call inflammaging. It is the background level of fire that rises simply because of accumulated wear and tear on cells. Soybean oil does not create that state on its own, but it feeds it very well. It is like having a forest that is already dry and dropping tiny sparks into it 3 times a day. Look in your pantry and freezer, and you may be surprised how often soybean oil shows up. Bottles of mixed vegetable oil, jarred pasta sauces, many brands of mayonnaise, store-baked cookies, chips, frozen breaded foods, and even some nut butters rely on soybean oil to stay soft and shelf-stable. That means you could stop pouring it from a bottle and still be eating it in half your meals unless you start reading the fine print. For a senior who wants to move away from constant joint pain, the goal is not to become frightened of every ingredient, but to become wise. Step 1 in that wisdom is to stop bringing home new sources of soybean oil and begin replacing what you have as you use it up. One helpful habit is to choose one shelf in your kitchen as the safe shelf. On that shelf, you only place products that do not contain soybean oil. As you shop, turn each label over and scan the ingredients slowly. If soybean oil appears near the top of the list, that item does not earn a place on the safe shelf. At first, this may feel tedious, but very quickly your eyes learn what to look for. Instead of feeling powerless, you start to feel in charge again, not of everything, but of the small, important decision of which oils enter your body every day. The next pair of oils that deserve a hard look are corn oil and regular sunflower oil. For years, both were held up as modern answers to butter and traditional animal fats. You may remember ads with golden fields of corn and bright, cheerful sunflowers suggesting purity and health. The story sounds lovely, but the details inside the bottle tell a different version. Corn oil is another champion of omega-6. Its ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 can climb dozens of times higher than what a human body evolved to handle gracefully. When that kind of oil is part of daily cooking, baked into breads, and poured into deep fryers, the bloodstream becomes rich in molecules that your immune system uses to build inflammatory messengers. At the same time, when corn oil is heated over and over, especially in restaurant fryers, it begins to break down into smaller reactive fragments. Some of these byproducts can add to oxidative stress, another kind of internal wear that speeds up aging in tissues. Sunflower oil sounds gentle. After all, it comes from a flower. But unless you are buying a special high-oleic version, standard sunflower oil is yet another extreme source of omega-6, with almost no balancing omega-3. In older adults, that imbalance has been linked with higher markers of inflammation and even faster decline in certain measures of brain health. Remember that your brain is mostly fat and is very sensitive to oxidative and inflammatory damage. The oils you choose do not just affect your knees and hands. They influence how clearly you think, how steady your mood feels, and how well your memory keeps up with daily life. For someone past 60, the important point is not to fear one meal cooked in corn oil or one snack that contains sunflower oil. The risk comes from repetition. Breakfast toast spread with margarine made from these oils. Lunch built from packaged snacks and salad dressings that use them. dinner from a pan greased with the same bottle. By the end of the day, your cells have been bathed for hours in a signal that leans toward inflammation. Over years, that signal shapes the way your joints age and the way your brain and blood vessels handle stress. A simple way to begin turning this around is to choose one meal of the day and make it a no corn oil, no regular sunflower oil zone. Maybe you start with dinner. That means you cook your evening meal only in better oils, and you avoid packaged sauces or dressings that list these fats. After a week, you expand the rule to lunch, then later to breakfast. Step by step, the total amount of these oils in your life shrinks. You have not gone on a punishment diet. You have simply changed the background music your cells are hearing from loud, harsh drums to something much calmer and kinder. The fourth oil that quietly works against your joints and arteries is cottonseed oil. Unlike olive trees or coconut palms, cotton was never meant to be a food crop. It began as a fiber plant to make cloth. The oil left over from processing cotton seeds is cheap, stable, and easy to blend, which makes it popular in large-scale food production. That is good for company profits, but not for an older body already carrying the scars of decades. Cottonseed oil often has one of the worst fatty acid profiles of all common cooking oils. It is high in omega-6, low in omega-3, and can carry more saturated fat than you would expect from a so-called vegetable oil. On top of that, because cotton is not grown primarily as food, it may be exposed to heavy use of agricultural chemicals. Refining removes much of that, but not necessarily every trace. The bigger concern for your day-to-day comfort, however, is that cottonseed oil shows up where you are least likely to look. Many restaurants use blends that include cottonseed oil in their deep fryers because these blends are stable and inexpensive. Packaged crackers, cookies, boxed snack cakes, some instant noodles, and certain brands of peanut butter rely on cottonseed oil for texture and long shelf life. When an older adult eats fried chicken from a fast food place, a basket of fries, a sleeve of crackers, and a few commercially baked cookies over the course of a week, they may be getting a steady drip of cottonseed oil without ever seeing the word on a front label. Why does that matter? Because inflammation is not built in a day. It is layered, like sediment at the bottom of a river. Each small exposure to these highly unbalanced oils settles another thin layer of inflammatory potential into your system. At first you notice nothing. Then maybe your legs feel heavy at the end of the day. 6 months later, climbing stairs feels more daunting. A year after that, your fingers stay swollen even when the weather changes. Removing cottonseed oil and its cousins does not magically erase all of that history, but it does stop adding new layers and finally gives your body a chance to slowly clear some of what has been stored. One practical strategy is to give yourself a restaurant rule. Choose 1 or 2 places where you know healthier fats are used, or where you can order foods that are baked, grilled, or steamed instead of fried. When you do crave something crispy, try making it at home in the oven with a light coating of avocado oil rather than dropping it into an unknown fryer. You will still enjoy the crunch, but you avoid bathing your food in a mystery blend of cottonseed and other oils that work against the comfort of your joints. I once spoke with a retired teacher who loved going out for fried fish twice a week. Her knees ached so badly that she had to grip the table to stand. Instead of banning her favorite outing, we made one change. She ordered grilled fish with a baked potato and kept the visit, but skipped the fryer. At home, she stopped buying crackers and snack cakes made with cottonseed oil and chose nuts and fruit instead. 6 weeks later, she did not feel young again, but she stood up with less effort and walked farther without needing to rest. That is the kind of quiet progress an oil swap can bring. Once you begin to see how soybean, corn, sunflower, and cottonseed oils push your body toward chronic inflammation, the next question is obvious. What should replace them on your stove and in your salad bowl? The goal is not perfection. The goal is to shift your daily patterns so that the fats you eat quiet the fire instead of feeding it, while still fitting into real-life cooking. One of the best places to start is extra virgin olive oil. This oil has been studied in thousands of older adults, especially in Mediterranean-style eating patterns. It is rich in monounsaturated fat and carries a family of plant compounds that act like natural, gentle anti-inflammatory agents. One of them behaves in a way similar to a mild dose of certain pain relievers, without the same risks to your stomach. When you use olive oil on a salad, to finish cooked vegetables, or to lightly sauté at low to medium heat, you are not just adding flavor. You are delivering a daily trickle of substances that help your immune system calm down. For higher heat cooking, like roasting vegetables or searing a piece of chicken, avocado oil is a strong partner. It tolerates heat better than many other oils and, like olive oil, is rich in monounsaturated fat with a friendlier balance of omega-6 and omega-3 than the problem oils we have been discussing. It brings very little taste of its own, which means you can swap it into many familiar recipes without noticing much difference except, over time, in how your joints feel. Coconut oil and small amounts of grass-fed butter or ghee can also have a place in an inflammation-aware kitchen. Coconut oil contains medium-chain fats that your body handles differently from longer-chain animal fats. It is solid at room temperature and stable when heated, making it useful for occasional baking or dishes where you enjoy its gentle flavor. Butter and ghee from grass-fed cows supply fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and K, along with a particular kind of fat that may support healthier metabolism when used modestly. The key is moderation and combination. You are not asked to drown your food in any single oil, but to build a small family of better choices that share the workload. To make this feel less abstract, picture a single day of cooking with these healthier fats. In the morning, you gently scramble eggs in a small amount of avocado oil and slide them onto a plate with sautéed spinach finished with a drizzle of olive oil. At lunch, you toss a bowl of mixed beans, chopped vegetables, and canned salmon with an olive oil and lemon dressing. In the evening, you roast a tray of carrots, onions, and chicken thighs, brushed lightly with avocado oil, then melt a teaspoon of ghee over the vegetables right before serving. Nothing about that day feels like deprivation, yet every meal has moved your body away from inflammation and toward repair. Knowing which oils help and which harm is useful, but change only happens when that knowledge reaches your kitchen counter. The first practical step is simple and a little brave. Open your pantry, the fridge door, and the drawer where you keep bottles and sprays. Pick up each one and read the ingredients slowly out loud. Any bottle that lists soybean oil, corn oil, regular sunflower oil without the words high-oleic, or cottonseed oil as the main fat goes into a mental pile called use up and do not buy again. You do not have to throw everything away tonight. Just make a clear decision that when those bottles and jars are empty, they will be replaced with something better. Next, choose one new anchor oil for the week ahead. For many seniors, that anchor is extra virgin olive oil. Put it in front, within easy reach. Decide that most of your low and medium heat cooking, salad dressings, and finishing drizzles will come from this one bottle. For higher heat, keep a smaller bottle of avocado oil nearby. When you steam vegetables, finish them with a spoonful of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon instead of margarine. When you crack eggs into a pan, reach for avocado oil instead of a mixed vegetable oil. These are small motions, but they add up. To reinforce the change, start pairing your new oils with foods that also fight inflammation. Saute dark leafy greens like spinach or kale in olive oil with garlic. Roast carrots, sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts in avocado oil sprinkled with herbs. Use a teaspoon of coconut oil when you gently toast oats or nuts for a warm breakfast. Each plate becomes a small anti-inflammatory package your body can recognize and use. Over a month, those packages turn into patterns, and patterns turn into how you feel when you wake up, climb stairs, or bend to tie your shoes. Finally, remember that your palate will adapt. If you are used to the taste of foods fried in cottonseed or corn oil, cleaner fats may feel different at first. Give your taste buds 2 or 3 weeks to catch up with your decisions. Many people find that as they move away from heavily processed oils, other flavors in their food become more vivid. The sweetness of a roasted onion, the depth of a tomato sauce, the peppery edge of a salad green all stand out more. Your joints are not the only parts of you that benefit. Eating becomes more satisfying in a simpler way. It can help to treat this as a gentle experiment rather than a strict rule. Mark the start date on a calendar. At the end of each week, pause and ask yourself a few questions. Are my mornings any easier? Do my hands feel less puffy? Is it easier to finish a walk around the block? Even small improvements are worth noticing. They are your body's way of saying thank you for changing the kind of fuel you are giving it. Over time, small choices create very large changes. If you have ever massaged an aching knee or rubbed stiff fingers, wondering why you hurt when you are trying to eat right, let this be your turning point. You now know that the oil in your pan is not a small detail. It is a daily choice that either feeds inflammation or helps to calm it. For the next 30 days, try a simple experiment. Remove soybean, corn, regular sunflower, and cottonseed oil from your shopping list. Cook instead with olive oil, avocado oil, a little coconut oil, and a modest amount of grass-fed butter or ghee. Keep a notebook nearby and each day simply write words about how your joints feel when you get out of bed. If you want steady guidance for life after 60, subscribe and stay with this community. Your next meal can be the first step toward quieter joints and a calmer body.